everybody, it's your boy Snyder1 with Snyder Elite Gaming, bringing you our next video series. And this video series is called Builds with Friends, and it's exactly what it sounds like. We're going to be going and diving into the community. We're going to search for the best and brightest that the community has to offer, and we're going to be making builds for this new patch. And today we got someone super special, an awesome guest. His name is, I'm gonna butcher it, my friend. It is TraegusPearze, but we all call him Gus. He is the founder of Monolith Magazine. Hey Gus, welcome to the channel. How's it going, man?
Hey man, pretty good. Thanks for having me.
So Gus, tell us a little bit about yourself and some of the experiences you have with Paragon. Give us some validity. Give the guys something to really react to, so they know that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, sure. So I started playing Paragon back in like OT4, the online test before it was even in alpha. I think it was like January 2016, maybe. I don't remember how long it's been out. Maybe it was 2015. I don't remember. Anyway, it was just a ton of fun. I had been playing MOBAs for like 5 years. I was a big League of Legends player, tried Dota and all the other ones. Eventually, I got like a PS4 instead of a PC. My PC was on its last leg. I decided not to upgrade it. So I started playing normal PS4 games and was like, man, I really want to play another MOBA. And then all of a sudden I saw Paragon and I, applied, ended up getting in, and I was like, awesome, this is so cool. And it's cross-platform. So, I sent the invite, my battle packs or whatever, to a bunch of friends of mine who were playing League still on PC. And it was just kind of cool that we could do both,
Okay, and then how did Monolith Magazine come into the picture?
So like last July, July 2016, I kind of decided that I wanted to be more involved in the subreddit. So I started making guides, put some articles and things like that here and there, but just did it for fun, while I'm sitting at my normal day job. And then all of a sudden I was like, I should probably make like a mock magazine cover. That would be pretty funny. So I decided to make something called Fighter's Health, which is like a spoof off of Men's Health. It was just a big picture of Sevarog with like letters on the front that said like, why junglers hate him, 140 stacks in 20 minutes, learn how to get ripped, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So it was just for fun. And then I posted on the subreddit. A bunch of people had responded to it and they were like, you should make a real one. You should make a real one. But I had never made a magazine before. And then a couple days later, a guy that I knew from the subreddit posted his version of the funny cover. And then, from there, we were just like, let's do it. Let's make a magazine together.
Okay. And then did you have like editorial type things beforehand? Like, do you have any kind of like experiences with editing, like magazine type stuff?
Oh, yeah. So I used to work for a CEO-centric magazine right out of college. So I was doing that for a couple of years. And I've been a writer, English major for, I think, 6 years in the field right now. So just doing that kind of stuff for fun. But then when we started the magazine, we tried to make it professional with a bunch of editorials and a little bit of humor here and there. We started showcasing some art and stuff like that. We went through 5 issues so far. We just posted our 5th one at the beginning of August, and we're working on our 6th right now for September. After we kind of started getting traction and stuff, we launched our website, monolithmagazine.org, so that we could post articles out there every day instead of just waiting for the monthly publication. So we do decks, we do guides, we cover all the news, pro games, things like that. We actually were live tweeting during the last Paragon tournament over the weekend, so live updates and stuff like that for people who couldn't watch.
So then, as far as like the stuff that's actually in the magazine, do you guys get like a bunch of random people? Can anybody be like featured in the magazine?
Yeah, so we have currently 3 staff writers that work on all the articles in there, plus myself, and then we have a screenshot guy who supplies us the screenshots and things like that. So we'll come up with the theme of the issue, and then we'll also reach out to people in the community who we think might be a good fit for that theme. So our upcoming one is actually a fan art appreciation month. So we reached out to a bunch of people who make fan art, like Sneaky Paragon and the guy that's been posting the chibi version of Moragash the other day. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that Instagram series, we reached out to her too. She's phenomenal. So, we have a bunch of great stuff lined up, and we're trying to interview all of the different artists so we can put a bio in there and everything like that. And then, like I said, we also do contributor articles. People who, have a great idea and they want to share it or write a guide or something like that, we can either publish them if it's relevant on the website, if it's a current topic, or if it's a generic thing that could go anytime, we'll publish them in the magazine.
So pretty much, if you're noteworthy and you get noticed, you can be in the magazine.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, you don't have to be anybody famous. We all started from being like, hey, I have an idea for a guide, let me write it out. Okay. So we reached out to people. I reached out to a guy today who has no YouTube account, no Twitch, no Twitter, or anything like that. He just wrote a great guide on, I forget the topic right now, but I reached out to him today and was just like, hey man, if you ever want to write anything else, like, let me know. We'll publish it. We'll put a bio and a headshot up there. We'll give you credit for it. It's all yours. We just want to allow people to publish this kind of stuff so more people see it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I've always tried to be like kind of positive influence on the community, so being able to do this is awesome. And over the past month we had it was like 21,000 readers, so it's pretty cool.
All right. That's freaking awesome. So okay, so shifting gears a little bit, so what about the new patch like really kind of intrigues you, like in regards to deck building?
Yeah, so my favorite thing is definitely the affinity change, the fact that they're not tied to the hero anymore. This is something that I had been asking for, since the card rework has been announced. I was like, don't tie affinities to heroes. It'll give us so much more versatility. We'll get to decide how we want to play, build that around the two affinities that we select before the match, and then go from there. And like, I posted this idea probably 8 or 9 months ago, and then to have it announced was like the coolest thing, because I was like just thinking of all the possibilities. Right. And then I didn't even know the depth of the rest of the card rework, and I actually got invited to the private test server for Epic Games. Yeah, so I was able to test it about 3 weeks before it came out to the public.
That's awesome. So then so just to like kind of like go off of what you just said, but there are a lot of instances where like certain cards like associated with certain champions kind of seems a little too much. Do you think that, in trying to dial back some of the diversity that's happening, do you think they'll ever like reinstate that idea, like to where it's like, hey, certain people can't use certain affinities, or do you think that'd be kind of counterproductive?
No, I think it'll be counterproductive. I think, as Cam Winston said on the last Community Corner, he kind of wants us to figure out builds that break the game, essentially, in air quotes. Obviously not to break the game, but like find stuff that works really well if you do this, that, or the other in a certain niche, Yeah. So if we're able to find that, I think that's what he really wants us to do. And I think they're going to balance it around having these affinities accessible by everybody, and they'll adjust cards that are outliers and things like that. Like on the test server, the reason that not everybody on live has all of the cards right now is because they disabled, I think it was one card from every affinity,
right?
Pretty much essentially because while we were on the test server, we were like, yeah, this is crazy, that can't go live.
Yeah, so like pretty much you guys broke the game in testing, and now like they're like, ooh, we got to dial that back.
Yeah, there was an order card that actually let you repeat the last ability used, even if it was an ultimate.
Oh, no, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Yep, so it was a lot of fun being able to test that stuff, and they're super positive. They're going to let us know when something's acting funky or when they think it's imbalanced, and they're going to work towards fixing it.
Okay, so then with that said, what is your favorite card? So there's got to be at least one that just you got to have it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's so many, I find it hard to pick. I listed like a top 3 before. Probably Veil Stepper was definitely up there. Malinx Gnasher is always a fun card. I think that just has a lot of applications that we haven't seen yet. The one that applies 4% increased damage on ability use on successive targets, or
I actually haven't even used that card yet.
Yeah. It's actually really strong on somebody like Iggy, who hits people with abilities really, really quickly.
Okay.
So it actually amplifies his damage while still providing some, alternate stats and things like that.
I mean, even like his turrets, because I thought that was basic. I thought it was basic damage.
No, I believe it counts on those.
Okay, I mean that's definitely something that I'm gonna look into, because that kind of sounds kind of a little outrageous, because he's already, borderline crazy.
Yeah, he's pretty strong. He's our only sustained caster currently.
Yeah.
The rest of them are burst casters, so his builds offer a lot of different variety.
Right.
Anyway, I think my favorite card, the third one that I was going to list, would be the Amplification Engineer. It's just so much fun.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that one. Being able to run in the middle of people.
So, I mean, if I had to name my favorite, it'd definitely be the Zetchin card, where it has the ghost flame green guy.
Oh yeah.
Not only I'm pretty sure that the art itself was one of the contest winners, I believe. But like it's so like underrated, I feel, because I've played probably 50 matches so far in the update, and I haven't seen it as much as I'd like to see it. And I mean, come on, who doesn't want a one-shot Orb Prime?
Yeah, no, for sure. They'll probably adjust that one in the future at some point, I'm sure, but for now it's pretty fun.
Yeah, you gotta cap it somewhere. So okay, so as far as builds, so the one that we're going to talk about today, what kind of build are you going to walk us through as far as like your mentality for role, champion? What do you got for us?
Yeah, so I think part of the beauty of the affinity change and the card rework is that you can really like hone into very specific play styles for certain heroes and things like that. So rather than just having a generic tank build or something like that, we have like health tanks and magic tanks, or anti-carry tanks and things like that. So one of the builds that I'm going to be walking you through is actually a Aurora offlane deck. It utilizes a couple of different cards, but the really cool niche thing about it is that it uses Amplification Engineer and Domain of Stillness. Domain of Stillness is a group stasis on everybody around you, allies and enemies, for 2.5 seconds.
Right.
So the cool thing about this build is that you can glacial charge in, instantly use the stasis against the entire enemy team while your team gets ready to follow up, and then use your ult as soon as the stasis ends to hit everybody else. And every time you use an ability, you're going to be applying that increased health percentage damage from Amplification Engineer.
Wow, that's definitely a sweet combo. So just to kind of go into your early game, as far as that, that walkthrough, what's your first step in your mindset when you're crafting this type of deck? Like, when you're drafting up the character role, what was your first thoughts like as far as that first early game phase?
Yeah, so Aurora is, always been somebody who's really good in team fights, somebody who sets up kills for the team and things like that. So I really wanted to amplify that with this build. So, in terms of picking her and things like that, you want to do it on a party where, you have people who can follow up with a bunch of damage, capitalize on the amount of crowd control that you can put out. So I ended up going with Order and Chaos as the two affinities, obviously, if you couldn't tell from the cards. And it definitely gives her a bit of a rough early game. There's 3 different cards that we utilize early, but you're not going to be having the extra damage resistance from growth or the extra gold or anything like that. So it's going to be a rough early game. I'm telling everybody that right now. When you go into this, just try to survive, because it'll pay off in the end.
Okay, so then what are the attributes that are typically found on your cards that you typically choose into?
Yeah, so for the first point, I usually go into Agility and pick up Poised Aggressor. It just eases your last hitting of minions and helps you kind of push the wave back so that you don't get completely demolished.
Okay.
And then we'll essentially alternate between Vitality and Intellect from there.
Okay.
You want to get Healing Towers as the gem first in Vitality, and then you want to get the Auto Shield for Intellect. You pick up the cards Living Guardian and Tireless Reaper, and those are the 3 that we kind of use early game that help us stay alive and flow into mid game as best we can without having to back a bunch.
Okay, so say those cards one more time so that I make sure that when I looking through the cards that I can make sure that I highlight them correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to just go through the full deck right now? I can just outline it.
Yeah, sure. We can go ahead and do that.
Sure. So the first card would be Living Guardian.
Okay.
And then we have Tireless Reaper.
Okay, so Tireless Reaper. Sweet.
Poised Aggressor.
Poised Aggressor.
And then we have Protective Sentry and Crippling Glare.
See, I've never even used that card.
Really? It's essentially like, I think the active is actually called Hamstring, but it's essentially like Feng Mao's Slow. Only you can instantly apply it to one person.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely can be nifty as far as like staying in range for your melees.
Yep, and it definitely helps Aurora in the mid game, just because, you know, we're trying to get to the late game with this build, but if you don't make it there, the aim of this deck is that you can still be useful through all the cards that you pick up.
Sweet. So then what's after Crippling Glare?
After that, we have Malink's Prayer. This is the card that heals you and applies a armor bonus to you and everybody around you.
Okay.
So this will really help you stay alive, and, you know, if you're diving in, you definitely want to make sure you can get out if you need to.
Sweet.
And then the last three cards that I put in there as my main three, like I said, they're going to be Amplification Engineer, and then Domain of Stillness, and we have Thorned Yomi as a last card. Chances are you'll never actually make it to the full build, because the full build is 6 Agility, 8 Vitality, and 18 Intellect. So it's definitely higher than what most games end at nowadays in the current patch. So you really just want to try to get Amplification Engineer and Domain of Stillness as your 2 core cards. And if you can pick up another one, you want to get Thorned Yomi as your absolute last one. If you can't make it to Thorned Yomi, you want to pick up Malink's Prayer or Crippling Glare.
Okay, so your Amplification Engineer and Domain of Stillness are your main 2, and you know, as you're working your way towards your, you know, your optimal Thorned, you're gonna grab your Crippling or Malik's.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, perfect. So, when do you normally see the transition to the mid game? Like, is there like a set time point? Is there a definitive distinction in regards to the cards that help you choose between the different cards? Like, when do you start really seeing that transition?
So when you're building, you want to take those early 3 cards, like I said, and then you want to go for the Protective Sentry as your second one. It'll help you, obviously, by giving you a couple stats, but it also gives you that armor when you're around a ward, and obviously the ward to keep yourself safe. When you reach 8 Vitality and 10 Intellect, that's kind of when you switch from early game to mid game, because you can get rid of some of those early game cards, and you want to pick up both the Crippling Glare and the Malink's Prayer at the same time. This essentially signifies your early game, or your mid game. Sorry, you have the heal and the slow, so that you can dive in and use crowd control on the enemies, and, you know, really capitalize on that and team fight.
Okay, and then so when you get to your heavy hitters, that last game, that's final 3, when you get there, what is it like? Is there, what's going through your mind? Like, is there like a methodical like chain of abilities? Are you know what's going through your mind as far as that last 3 in order to make that build just, why is it so crisp? Why is it so clean? Why is it just you know what I'm saying? Like, there's got to be a method to the madness. Like, why? Like, obviously, you know, you're going to be going up against guys that are running, you know, Shatter Golem, you know, they're running shields, they're running all kinds of stuff in order to be, you know, just bosses on the battlefield. What makes your build so great?
So once you have the Amplification Engineer and the Domain of Stillness, it really lets you keep people locked down for a large amount of time. You're going to keep somebody locked down for a total of 4.5 seconds, 2.5 of which they are untargetable and can't be hurt, but, you know, it keeps them from hurting your team and allows your team to set up. So what I do in game is that I will Glacial Charge in, use the Domain of Stillness on as many enemies as I can to kind of keep them still, and then that allows your team to really follow up and get ready. And then as soon as the stasis wears off, you pop your ult, you hit as many people as you can, you follow up with a Hoarfrost around, you know, your prime target, most likely the carry, or, you know, if they have a Countess or something like that, and then you can definitely use your backflip to get out of there, and by that time chances are you'll have another charge up pretty soon.
Okay.
And because you have that amplification engineer, you're going to be applying that percentage of health damage to everybody that you are nearby when you use an ability, whether or not you hit them with it. So whenever you flip out and jump out of that clone, you're still going to be damaging people with that aura.
Okay. I mean, who doesn't like a pre-game setup for a huge team fight? I mean, that just seems like it's just overpowered, and I probably shouldn't be making this video.
We're definitely in the meta of overpowered card combos right now. So I think, if you can set this up with a team beforehand, even if you're not on comms, definitely let them know that you're going to be picking up the stasis. Just make sure they know not to steal alt as soon as you charge in, because it'll cancel it all out. Right. But if they can follow up on this and you can set up this huge AoE stun, it really amplifies how strong Aurora is in team fights, and it's definitely going to help you win those team fights even easier.
So do you think this kind of build could possibly be the same on a steel, because it has somewhat of a initiation type characters?
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely could be. You could even use it on, you can use it on a steel. You could use it on a chimera if you want to. If you're able to come up behind somebody and jump into the middle of a crowd, pop that stasis, have your team follow up, and then instantly go on whichever target. I think this build definitely works on mostly tanky heroes, but you're not going to be building a bunch of power. You're not going to be scaling that well in terms of health either. The reason that I really like this on Aurora is obviously because of the synergy between Domain of Stillness and her ult, but also because you have the ability to get out of danger incredibly easy with her.
All right, sweet. So as far as gems, is there any strategy to your madness, like all in one tree? Are they spread out? Do you skip slots? Walk us through your choices as far as how they mesh with your cards and your character choice.
Yeah, sure. They're definitely split up just like the rest of the cards. Like I said, the final build is a 6, 8, 18, which, like I said, you're probably never going to reach completely, but you're aiming for that. So the gems are, you want to start with the auto health potion in agility when you pick up that first poised aggressor card when you go to lane. Okay. And then after that, you're going to want to put a point into vitality for healing towers, a point in intellect for the auto shield, and those are going to be your 3 early game. And then you want to build up towards armored in vitality as the second tier, blade turn in intellect as the second tier, and then as your 3rd tier gem, you're only going to be putting that one in spell burn in intellect.
Okay. Lastly, all great decks got a name, and I know I name all my decks. Do you have a name, sir, for your deck so that everybody can kind of type that in so they know where they got it from?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, this is the build that keeps people crowd controlled. You have the double whammy, so I like to call this build the double stun, double fun Aurora.
All right. That's awesome. So, yeah. Well, there you have it. Hopefully all you viewers digested the information quite nicely. Gus, it was a pleasure having you on the channel.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. If you're interested in more contact information or content from Gus, I'm going to be linking his information in the description below. But for all those who have never, kind of check you and can find him floating around on Reddit, as well as his magazine at monolithmagazine.org. That's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys stay blessed. If you guys like the content, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me out, and it shows that what we're doing here is affecting the community in a positive manner. That's all I got for you guys today. Peace.